All right, so Coupang, this South Korean e-commerce giant, just dropped its latest earnings report. And whoa, it was a bombshell for Wall Street. We're talking a huge miss. And the reason why is, believe it or not, even more shocking. So let's just dive right in and break down what on earth just happened. Okay, so here's the deal, right? This is the core of the problem. Analysts were expecting revenue to be over $9.1 billion, but Coupang only delivered $8.8 billion. And, that's a miss. But the real shocker? It was the profit. Wall Street was actually betting on a small gain, but instead the company posted a loss. That's a clear miss on both the top and bottom lines, and you can bet investors noticed that immediately. So what in the world happened here? I mean, a small miss on one thing, okay, that's one thing. But missing on both revenue and profit, that points to a much, much bigger issue. And let me tell you, the answer isn't just, a simple market downturn. No, it's something way more dramatic. It turns out the main reason for this whole earnings mess was a single, absolutely devastating event, a massive data breach. Now, Coupang is calling it a targeted attack, and it just hit them so hard, right in the middle of their most important sales period of the year. Talk about bad timing. Just let this number sink in for a second. 33 million. That's not dollars. That's how many user accounts were compromised. 33 million. And what makes this whole story even more wild is that this wasn't some hacker from the outside. No, the attack came from the inside. It was carried out by a former employee. So you're probably wondering, okay, what data was actually taken? Well, it was the basic stuff. We're talking names, emails, delivery addresses. And look, that is a serious privacy violation for sure. But here's the crucial detail, the silver lining, if you can call it that. It's what wasn't taken. No credit card numbers, no passwords, no government IDs. That little distinction right there saved users from a much, much worse outcome. And this isn't just Coupang's story. They brought in third-party investigators from Palo Alto Networks, and they confirmed it. This was not a case of some weak security system getting busted from the outside. This was, plain and simple, an inside job. A malicious former employee used their internal know-how to get around the defenses, which makes it a really targeted attack, not just on Coupang, but on its customers too. So how do you even begin to repair trust after something like this happens? Well, Coupang's response was to go big. They issued an incredible $1.2 billion in vouchers to the customers who were affected. Now, that's a huge gesture of goodwill, right? But it is also a massive financial hit. And that helps explain that surprise loss per share we were looking at just a minute ago. And this crisis of trust, it wasn't just about the money they spent on vouchers. Oh no. It had this immediate ripple effect, a direct impact on their core business that pretty much slowed the e-commerce giant to a crawl. Okay, take a look at this because this chart really puts it all into perspective. Before the news of the breach went public, Coupang's main business, their e-commerce, was growing at a really healthy 16%. But after the news hit, whoosh, that growth just plummeted to an estimated 4% in January. I mean, you can literally see the moment customers lost confidence and just started to step back. But hold on, because the Q4 report wasn't all doom and glum. Not at all. In fact, hidden underneath all those scary headlines about the data breach, there was this surprising and, I mean, incredibly positive story of growth happening in a brand new market. And this, right here, is where the story gets really, really interesting. Because at the exact same time their main market in Korea was in total crisis mode, a completely different part of the company was quietly having an absolutely phenomenal quarter. Just look at this contrast. It's like a tale of two companies in one report. On one side, you have their main business, product commerce, which grew 12% for the quarter. Not bad, but look at the other side. Their newer ventures, what they call developing offerings, grew at a blistering 31%. And the primary engine firing up that growth? Their big expansion into Taiwan. Yeah, you heard that right. Not 30%. We're talking triple-digit revenue growth. So while the home market was struggling with a slowdown, the business over in Taiwan was just exploding. It is a stunning, stunning rate of expansion, and it's real proof that their international strategy isn't just talk. It has some serious teeth. And we're not just talking about some flimsy, paper-thin expansion either. No, they are building real, durable infrastructure over there. Get this, in a super short amount of time, their own delivery network now covers 70% of the entire country. 70%. By December, they were delivering 3/4 of all their packages the very next day. And this is the kicker, they did it all efficiently, without their costs just spiraling out of control. This is that operational excellence Coupang is famous for, and it really shows they can replicate that secret sauce abroad. So here we are. We have this absolutely wild contrast, right? A full-blown crisis at home, but explosive growth abroad. So what does that even mean for the future? Well, the company's own forecast gives us a pretty good clue about how they plan to navigate this storm. Look, Coupang is basically signaling that there's a tough road ahead. They are not backing down from their big growth plans. In fact, they're committing to invest another $1 billion into ventures like the one in Taiwan. But they're also warning investors, hey, expect slower overall growth. And that nice trend we had of improving profits, yeah, that's probably going to get disrupted this year. But, and this is the final absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle, despite the breach, despite the $1 billion voucher payout, despite all the heavy investments, Coupang is sitting on a massive $6 billion pile of cash. $6 billion. That gives them this enormous cushion to navigate the crisis, to rebuild trust, and to keep funding that growth engine in Taiwan, all without breaking a sweat financially. And so that leaves us with the real billion-dollar question for Coupang's future, doesn't it? Can this incredible brand new growth engine they're building in Taiwan be powerful enough to outweigh the deep, deep crisis of trust they're now facing back home? That, right there, is the tightrope they are going to be walking for the foreseeable future.